The Millionaire, the black homeless woman, and Donald Trump's Elon Musk connection. Michael Carter never thought a storm could rewrite his story. The billionaire, born with bright suits, boardroom battles, and headlines screaming his every move, found himself running, not from reporters, but from the wild, pounding rain swirling through New York City. His sleek, black car splashed through flooded streets, lightning carving jagged scars across the night sky. When the world fell into chaos, Michael ducked into the shadows of an old, abandoned warehouse. Rust creaked, water hissed from broken windows. Inside, the air was thick with dust and secrets. He wasn't alone. Naomi sat by the far wall, wrapped in torn blankets, her dark eyes sharp but heavy with stories. For a moment, Michael caught a flash. A woman who didn't fit the cold streets. She was an enigma, a brilliant mind hidden beneath ragged clothes, erased by betrayal and broken dreams. "You're not from around here," she said. Out there, he was just a man alone against the storm. In here, Naomi was a ghost of something bigger, something lost. She told him about her past, labs filled with blinking machines, designs that could change the world, stolen in the dead of night by the one person she trusted most. Michael listened, his heart pounding harder than the thunder. The fight wasn't just about money or fame. It was about pain, loss, and survival. And then, as lightning cracked the sky open with a roar that shook the old walls, Naomi pulled out a small wrapped box. Inside, a prototype, a sleek piece of technology, humming quietly like a secret heart. The kind of invention the world should see. But someone out there wanted it buried forever. Michael's pulse sped up. He realized this wasn't just a storm outside. It was a storm about to break inside. Somewhere in the shadows, eyes watched. Threats whispered in the wind. The billionaire had a choice: protect his empire or risk everything to help Naomi reclaim hers. The wind howled louder, thunder shaking the roof. Just as they prepared to make their move, a sudden crash echoed from the warehouse's dark corner. Metal bent, footsteps thudded. Who else knew about Naomi's invention? And could they both escape the danger closing in fast? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The sudden crash ricocheted through the warehouse. Michael's heart raced, echoing the thud of heavy footsteps drawing near. He and Naomi shared wide-eyed glances. The air crackled with danger. She held the prototype tightly, clutching it like a life vest thrown into stormy seas. "Stay behind me," he whispered, instincts kicking in. Adrenaline surged through him, sharpening his focus. The footsteps echoed closer, metal scraping against concrete. Shadows slipped in the corners, forming darker shapes against the flickering light. Michael moved toward the noise, heart thumping like a drum, ready to confront their intruder. But a cold sweat rolled down his back. What if it was someone sent to snatch Naomi's invention? Then a figure emerged. Tall and imposing, they stepped into the dim light. Michael's breath caught. Evelyn? The name slipped from his lips, heavy with disbelief. Evelyn was his trusted advisor, the genius behind his most profitable projects. But the woman in front of him was different. Her face, usually composed, twisted in a snarl of greed and betrayal. Shattered ties cracked under fresh tension. "Michael," she hissed, taking in the scene with narrowed eyes. "You're in way over your head." "What are you doing here?" Naomi shot back, voice shaking but fierce. "You left me to rot! You stole my work!" Evelyn smirked, self-satisfied as thunder rolled outside. "Oh, you naive child! Do you really think I'd let a failed experiment ruin everything I've built?" Michael's mind raced. Was it possible? Had the woman he trusted become a puppet master in this twisted game? Before he could process it, Evelyn lunged forward, her hand slicing through the air. No! Michael lunged, desperation fueling him. But the moment snapped, and Evelyn's hand met Naomi's wrist, grabbing hold of the prototype. "Let it go!" Michael shouted, stepping closer, ready to intervene. "Not a chance. This is mine now." Evelyn spat back, the madness in her eyes igniting a chill. "You see, Naomi, you're just the footnote in a bigger story. My story." With a swift motion, she twisted the device from Naomi, and chaos erupted. Naomi stumbled back, eyes wide, caught off guard. Michael's body reacted before his mind caught up. He dashed for the bare kitchen area, hoping for something, anything, to defend her. But just as he reached for a rusted pipe, the warehouse lights flickered and then died. The air spun into darkness, punctuated by the crash of thunder. Heavy footsteps, losing hold amidst the chaos. "Michael!" Naomi cried out, her voice barely piercing through the void. "Stay close!" he shouted. But panic surged like poison. He could feel the tension, the desperation swelling. Evelyn was in control, and he had been blind to the betrayal that had wormed its way through his empire. Then came the sound that stopped him cold. A mechanical whirring, followed by a brilliant flash. It illuminated the space, catching Michael's stunned expression. And clacked red numbers began to race across a display on the prototype. "What did you do?" he whispered, horror creeping into his voice. "It's a countdown," Evelyn cackled, victorious and unhinged. "Just a little insurance policy." The world spun into chaos around him. Time tilted dangerously, everything balancing on the precipice of an impending explosion. A choice loomed before Michael, heavier than ever: save Naomi or confront the truth of Evelyn's duplicity. Could he trust the woman beside him, or was she yet another layer of betrayal masking the reality? As the countdown ticked louder, Michael felt the weight of life tightening around him, every second pulling him deeper into the storm. The thunder crashed again, drowning out the moment. Metal groaned as the darkness stirred. Michael's heart raced. It felt like the world was closing in. "Who?" he started, but then he saw the silhouette moving, lurking deeper in the shadows. Fear stitched through his veins. Naomi's eyes widened, and together they held their breath, as if the quiet could shield them from whatever was out there. The footsteps grew louder, a rhythmic drumbeat of danger. The faint light from the flashes of lightning illuminated a tall figure. A familiar face emerged and Michael's grip on reality slipped as he recognized the man. It was Ben, his business partner, the one he thought was on a trip to Asia. "What are you doing here?" Michael's voice hitched, raw and shaky. Ben stepped closer, a smirk carving across his lips. "I came to collect," he said, his tone laced with mockery. "Didn't you get my message?" "What message?" Michael felt a knot twist in his stomach. Maybe this wasn't just about Naomi. Naomi stirred beside him, her gaze darting from Michael to Ben. "You're lying. You betrayed me." Her voice sliced through the air, each word loaded with pain. Ben laughed, the sound cold and sharp. "Oh, I didn't betray you, Naomi. I sold your invention to the highest bidder." "You're not the only one who can play the game." He paused, relishing the moment. Michael is just too good a pawn to lose. Time froze. Michael's mind raced, the wind howled outside, and yet it all seemed muted, as if the storm had quieted to let him process the burning betrayal. He turned towards Naomi, and the shock in her eyes twisted like a knife in his chest. Naomi sank back, the weight of the truth crashing down around them. You were part of it all along?" Her voice quivered, caught between disbelief and fresh heartbreak. "I didn't have a choice," Ben snapped, his face twisting with anger. There was desperation in his eyes, somewhere deep, mingling with the contempt. "You were going to ruin everything." Michael clenched his fists, the anger surging inside him. "You sold her out. For what? Some quick cash?" "More than cash. Power, Michael. You wouldn't understand." Ben leaned closer, whispering like a dark secret meant only for his ears. "I needed that technology to leverage my position. You're too naive to see the bigger picture." The weight of those words crashed onto Michael. He thought he had been a player in the game, but he had just learned he was a piece moved at Ben's whim. Outside, the storm howled louder, but it paled against the brewing storm inside the warehouse. Michael glanced toward Naomi. Her eyes held a mix of fury and despair, like a battlefield marked by betrayal. Another crash echoed in the distance. The air crackled with tension. Ben smiled, triumphant, but with something darker flickering behind his bravado. Just then, as the sky lit up with another flash, something in Naomi's expression shifted. A quiet resolve settled on her face. "You think you can control this?" Her voice was steady now, full of fire. "You underestimate us both." Ben's smile faltered for a moment. Michael caught that flicker of fear, realized the undercurrent of this confrontation was shifting. Together, Naomi and Michael faced Ben, not as victims, but as partners, forged in betrayal. Then, without warning, the lights in the warehouse flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. A heavy silence fell, thick and suffocating. Suddenly, a loud crash from above sent dust and debris raining down around them. "Run!" Naomi shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. But as they turned, a voice echoed from the shadows, familiar and commanding. "Stop right there." Michael froze. The storm outside roared. Shadows danced, and Michael realized the danger had just grown deadlier. Everything he thought he knew teetered on the edge of chaos. He'd thought it was just him and Naomi against Ben. But they were caught in a web far more sinister than he could imagine. And the real storm was just beginning. Michael froze. The voice that sliced through the darkness was heavy with authority and ice. It made his blood run cold. He felt the room constrict around him like a vice. "Stop right there!" Naomi's hand squeezed his, a silent plea for reassurance. He looked at her, seeing the flicker of fear in her dark eyes. The shadows thickened, and a figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a face he never expected to see here. It was Rebecca, Michael's mother. "What are you doing here?" Michael gasped, confusion crashing like waves. It felt surreal, the storm outside mixing with the tempest inside him. "Nice to see you too, darling," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "I wasn't exactly on vacation when you decided to play corporate hero." "What do you mean?" he stuttered, trying to piece together this shocking twist. "You have to get out of here, Ben." "Oh, I know all about Ben," she interjected, her eyes narrowing. "He's been a useful tool, but this," she gestured around the warehouse, eyes narrowing, "this is much bigger than your little ventures, Michael." "Bigger?" Naomi shot back, her voice trembling but fierce. "What are you talking about?" Rebecca stepped closer, the dim light casting eerie shadows across her face. "I made arrangements, Naomi, with people who are far more powerful than either of you realize. Your prototype was never just an invention. It's a game changer." Michael felt the pieces shifting, but they made no sense. "You've been playing me?" His voice cracked, a mix of betrayal and disbelief. "Not you, sweetie. You were just a pawn in a grander scheme." Rebecca's lips curved into a smile that was anything but warm. "I needed the invention, and you're the one who brought it to me." So naive. Michael shook his head, searching for clarity. But all those years, the mentoring, the love, was it all a lie? "Love?" Rebecca echoed, her laughter cold and sharp. "Oh, Michael, sweetheart, love doesn't fuel empires. Ambition does." Sweat trickled down his back, and his heart raced. "I can't believe this. You've turned your own son into a bargaining chip." "Exactly," she smirked, a glint of pride in her gaze. "And now you'll understand how the world really works." Just then, the countdown on the prototype blared to life, a loud red number flashing ominously. 10, 9, 8. "Hide!" Michael shouted. But where? Panic roared inside him like the storm outside. Naomi stumbled back, eyes wide, mouth agape. But the realization hit them both. They weren't just running from the storm. They were now caught in a whirlwind of deceit, trapped with a woman who had manipulated every move they thought was their own. "What's it going to be, Michael?" Rebecca's smile grew, dark and twisted. "Will you stand by this girl and risk it all? Or will you join me and claim what's rightfully yours?" Lightning illuminated the warehouse with a blinding flash, and in that moment of chaos, Michael saw it, the flicker of vulnerability in his mother's eyes. "But you'd betray your own flesh and blood for power?" He pressed, desperation spilling over. The countdown ticked closer. 3, 2. Suddenly, something shifted behind Rebecca. A tall, ominous figure emerged from the shadows, holding a weapon that gleamed in the sparse light. An enforcer sent to collect on a deal long made. "Time's up," the figure declared, voice deep and gravelly. Michael's breath caught. He had thought he was fighting to save Naomi, but now they were all locked in a deadly game, one where love was just a facade. The true battle was so much darker. As the ground trembled and the countdown approached its final second, the question hung heavy in the air. Could they trust anyone left in this storm? The sudden crash echoed again, deepening the shadows. Metal twisted, and footsteps approached, deliberate and heavy. Michael's heart hammered in his chest. I don't know who that is," Naomi whispered, her voice trembling like a leaf caught in a storm. "Stay behind me," Michael responded, instinct kicking in. They edged back, finding a corner, the tiny glimmer of hope dimming under the weight of fear. The footsteps grew louder, resonating through the dilapidated structure. The figure emerged, partially silhouetted by the flickering light, tall and imposing. Rain dripped off a familiar red jacket, the logo unmistakable, the same one worn by agents of a billionaire tech mogul. "Michael Carter!" The voice was sultry, smooth. "What a surprise to find you here!" As the figure stepped closer, the light revealed a chiseled face. It was David Reynolds, a ruthless player in the tech industry, known for his aggressive takeovers. Michael felt a chill. David was not someone you wanted to cross. "David, what are you doing here?" Michael stammered, trying to mask his unease. David's smile was sharp, predatory. "Oh, I always keep tabs on my investments. And you, my friend, are about to make a very poor choice. Hand over that prototype, and we can forget this little encounter ever happened." The prototype. Fear seized Michael. He glanced at Naomi, her eyes wide, filled with a mix of panic and determination. "We can't let him take it," she breathed. "This is bigger than you both," David replied, stepping forward, his presence radiating menace. "That invention doesn't belong to you, Naomi. You know that." A flash of confusion crossed her face. "What are you talking about?" David laughed, a cold, mocking sound. "Did you really think you could escape the past? I know your secrets, Naomi. The tech you designed was built on borrowed ideas from my firm, right under my nose." Michael felt a punch to his gut. Everything felt skewed. "What? That can't be true," he said, disbelief pouring from his lips. "Oh, it's true, and it doesn't end there," David continued, his eyes gleaming. "Your entire career was a carefully orchestrated setup. People will do anything for power, even destroy each other." Naomi's expression twisted with shock. "You're lying." "Am I?" David challenged, his words heavy with implication. "What if I showed you proof?" He held up his phone, the screen illuminated with messages, documents. Everything that linked her to deceit, theft. Micael fue frozado, paralizado por el aluvio de revelaciones. "No le escuches, Naomi." Micael se justificaba desesperado. "Él solo quiere manipularte." Pero como Naomi se acercaba, el relajo interior, Micael se viró el mundo de Naomi. El peso de la ventana se quedó en el aire. De repente, Naomi se tosió el alma, una tormenta de emociones circulando en sus ojos. don't know what to believe. Hand shot out, snatching the small prototype from her bag. She held it protectively. A lifeline, a risk, a beacon in the chaos. "Step away from me," she shouted, voice cracking. David's smile faded, his mask slipping. "Dot, you don't want to do that. This thing means nothing compared to your life." Lightning struck again, tearing through the sky, illuminating the tense standoff. Was this the moment everything changed? The warehouse fell silent, the air thick with a sense of impending doom. Eyes darted, breaths quickened. They were at a precipice, each choice laden with consequences. Naomi's gaze locked with Michael's. They were caught in a storm, not just outside, but within. "Choose, Naomi," David urged, his voice low as deadly calm. "You can protect a trinket, or you can protect your future." The walls seemed to close in as they waited. What would she decide? The storm rolled on, but in that moment, it felt like everything hung in balance. And then, just like that, the first crack of thunder shook the ground beneath them, the power of choice roaring to life. The sound of metal bending kept echoing, snapping Michael's focus. Suddenly, Naomi stiffened, her eyes wide. They both turned sharply toward the darkness of the warehouse. A silhouette loomed, casting an ominous shadow against the flickering lights. "Who's there?" Michael's voice broke, the words barely making it past the tightening grip on his throat. The figure stepped forward, revealing a face half hidden in the gloom. It was an old man, gray beard tangled and eyes fierce with a wild light. "You don't want to be here, not with what's coming." "What do you mean?" Michael's heart raced, the thud beating in his skull. Naomi shifted, drawing closer to Michael. "Aaron, is that you?" Her voice was low, quaking with a mix of fear and familiarity. "Naomi, it's too late," Aaron said, his tone urgent. "The tech you have, it's not just your life's work. It's bigger. Larger than anyone knows." He looked between them, a dreaded confession teetering on his lips. "Bigger how?" Michael pressed, trying to catch the thread of this chaotic unraveling. The storm outside hammered relentlessly, urging forth revelations among shadows. "It's been linked to," he hesitated, drawing in a shaky breath, "to Elon Musk's projects. They're hunting for it, the prototype. You're in their sights." Michael recoiled. Elon Musk? Suddenly, the familiar brand felt like a dark cloud hanging over them. Why? What's so special about that device? Isn't it just tech? Naomi's expression shifted, layers of past pain flooding her face. "No, Michael. It's not just tech. It can manipulate energy flow, rewrite every blueprint you can think of." She met Michael's gaze, urgency clawing at her voice. "That's what got me here. I trusted the wrong person." "You mean?" Michael's mind raced. Images of boardroom deals and high stakes flashed through his memory. "You were working for someone in his circle?" "Yes," Naomi's voice lifted, desperation spilling over. "And that person, they're not just anyone. They're a close advisor, someone you know." His breath caught. The walls of the warehouse began closing in. The flood outside, a distant roar to the chaos inside his chest. "Who?" he demanded, eyes narrowing. The figure of Aaron shook his head, a pained look in his eyes. "You have to understand, if they find out you have it, they'll do anything to retrieve it. And anyone to stop you." Before they could process this new shock, a loud bang echoed through the warehouse, shaking the very ground beneath them. A shattering sound reverberated. Windows exploded outward into a hail of glass. Michael stumbled, gripping Naomi's arm tightly. It wasn't thunder outside, it was a sound worse. The sound of intrusion. "Run!" Naomi shouted, pulling Michael toward the back of the warehouse. But Aaron stood rooted. "I can't leave." "What do you mean?" Michael cried, confusion flooding every corner of his mind. "You need to get out." "No!" Aaron rasped, a fierce determination igniting in his gaze. "I can't let them have it. You two must go. They're coming for me. But take the prototype. Get it out. Get her out." Michael's heart sank. The ties that had once bound their lives into a smooth trajectory now twisted into a web of danger. "We can't just leave you!" With sudden intensity, Aaron's next words fell like a hammer, shattering the air with clarity. "I'm the one they want. I know their secrets, and I know what they did to Naomi. Trust me." Reality splintered around him, and for a moment, Michael's resolve faltered. Friend, foe, or savior? What had he known, really? But weight pressed down, and Gillian's voice broke the silence again. "Now, Michael, go!" And as Michael and Naomi plunged into the shadows, the weight of betrayal and allegiance surged. Outside, gusts howled, but silence stretched behind them. The storm raged on, and as they fled into the night, Michael couldn't shake the heavy pulse of questions. What had Aaron meant? What secrets tied them all together? Time slipped between his fingers like sand, and the storm wasn't just outside. It was coming for them all. The sudden crash echoed around them, reverberating through the warehouse like a gunshot. Michael's heart raced as he turned toward the sound, eyes wide. What had they stumbled into? The tension was thick, pumping in time with the storm outside. Naomi was frozen, her expression shifting from determined to alarmed. "We need to go," she whispered. But the urgency in her voice was drowned by another crash, a sound of metal bending under pressure. "Wait," Michael said, but before he could react, the source of the noise emerged from the shadows. A figure stumbled into the flickering light. It was a man, disheveled and wild-eyed, drenched to the bone. But it wasn't just his appearance that shocked Michael. It was the glint of recognition that sparked between Naomi and the newcomer. "Jared?" Naomi gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. Michael felt a jolt, confusion wrapping around him like a fog. "You know him?" She didn't answer, her gaze locked on Jared, who stepped closer, hands raised in a placating manner. Michael could see the tension coiled in Naomi's frame, like a tightly wound spring about to snap. "Naomi, I didn't know you were here," Jared said, his tone a mix of fear and relief. Then he glanced at Michael, and his face hardened, as if recognizing a threat. "You shouldn't be with him. He's not." "Not what?" Michael demanded, heart pounding. "Who the hell are you?" "Shut up!" Jared shouted, desperation rising in his voice. "They're coming! You don't understand!" "They?" Naomi asked, her voice a thread of confusion and anger. Suddenly, the dim light flickered as thunder rumbled above, a mighty growl. Outside, shadows danced against the rain-soaked windows. The storm seemed tiny, compared to the fury building inside the warehouse. "Everything you thought was true, it's all a lie," Jared said, his eyes darting. "What she's created, it's bigger than you know. They want it for themselves. They'll destroy her, and anyone who gets in the way." "What are you talking about?" Michael demanded, his fists clenched. "You think I'm going to let you drag Naomi into this chaos?" Naomi's expression twisted with anger and pain. "You don't even know what she's done. That storm outside? She didn't just build something, she opened a door." "What door?" Michael felt a slick sweat trickle down his back, a gnawing unease settling in. But before Naomi could answer, the warehouse door burst open, a flood of light sweeping in, illuminating the three of them. Figures moved in the doorway, silhouetted against the storm. "Get down!" Jared yelled, lunging forward to shove Naomi behind him. But she fought against him, pushing back. In that moment, shock settled deep in Michael's gut. He looked between them, realizing that their pasts were intertwined far more deeply than he'd ever guessed, that the stakes had just skyrocketed beyond his understanding. "What's happening?" he shouted. But all he could hear was the pounding rain, and the figures, too many to count, surged forward, a wave of chaos rolling in. And in that instant, a shattering truth dawned on him. This wasn't just about Naomi's invention or his empire. This was a fight for survival, rooted in betrayal, secrets, and choices that could turn everything upside down. As the darkness descended, the last image seared into his mind was of Naomi's eyes, fierce and uncertain, holding a weight he had never seen before. Would he stand by her, or would he perish in the storm of their shared past? The answer remained a mystery, lost to the thunderclap that followed. The sound of the door crashing open thundered in Michael's ears, drowning out everything else. Shadows loomed, the silhouettes of men clad in dark clothing, eyes like sharpened blades. The air felt electric, thick with tension. "Get behind me!" Jared shouted. But chaos erupted before Michael could respond. A man lunged, movements practiced and precise. In an instant, the space filled with shouting and the clash of bodies. Michael's heart hammered as he instinctively shoved Naomi apart from him, seeking to shield her. "Stay close!" he yelled, trying to keep his voice steady, even as panic gripped him. His thoughts spiraled. What had they stumbled into? Who were these figures, and what did they want? Michael reacted. He charged forward, caught one intruder off guard, and shoved him back. But then, another grasped his arm, yanking him harder than he'd expected. Just as he wrestled free, he caught a glimpse of Naomi, holding her own, a fierce warrior even among the storm of bodies. She fought to make space, but kept glancing toward Jared. "Help him!" she urged, desperation coating her voice. Jared slammed his fist against another attacker, but they were outnumbered, surrounded by the storm of brutal force. And then, just as Michael dodged another blow, a loud crack echoed through the warehouse, stunning them into silence. Everyone froze. Then, a voice boomed, deeper than the thunder outside, carrying authority that felt like a dark omen. "Enough!" The men stepped back, as if caught in a spell. A tall figure emerged, striding through the chaos. The light flickered, and Michael's breath hitched, a chill creeping down his spine as the figure came into view. It was Ben, the man he thought he could trust, the one he'd been blindsided by. But there was something more. A flicker of malice danced in his eyes. "Surprise," Ben smirked. "Did you think you could escape this?" "Ben, what the hell is happening?" Michael's voice trembled, indignation and shock twisting together. "You set this up!" "Oh, please," Ben retorted, rolling his eyes. "You've always been the pawn, Michael. You just never realized until now." Michael turned to Naomi, confusion and fear crashing into him. He was in this all along? Before anyone could react, Ben raised a small device high. A remote control, drowning the chaos in an eerie silence. "This is the big reveal." His voice turned cold, laced with triumph. "With this, I control everything." The ground shook beneath them, a deep rumble, not from the storm, but something unfolding within the walls of the warehouse. Microchips whirred, lights flickered, and then the prototype glowed ominously on the table. "What have you done?" Naomi shouted, panic bursting forth. Ben grinned. "You didn't know, did you? There's a failsafe built into that device, a backdoor I planted long ago. And now, time's up." Michael staggered back, grasping for understanding. "You mean this was all a setup to use Naomi's invention?" "Exactly," Ben sneered, stepping closer. "But it's not just for me. You see, I have a deal with someone much more dangerous." He paused, his eyes gleaming with menace. "The people who want Naomi, who want that tech?" He gestured toward Jared. "They know all about your little meeting here. And they're coming, fast." A sudden crash rang through the warehouse, another explosion rattling the walls. Michael felt his heart freeze. No, this can't be real. But it was. Just then, Naomi's face shifted, a strange mixture of revelation and dread. "Jared, you knew about this, didn't you?" All eyes turned to him, and his expression flickered between guilt and anger. "You don't understand," he shouted. "I thought I could protect you." Then came the twist. As more figures surged into the warehouse, it became clear. Under the flashing lights, a second figure emerged. The silhouette of someone painfully familiar. Rebecca strode forward, her face set with a cold determination that sent a shiver down Michael's spine. "Well, I see the family reunion is well underway." "Mom?" Michael's voice cracked like glass, shattering everything he believed. He staggered back, ideas swirling. You were part of this?" "Yes, sweetheart. I had to choose sides," she said calmly, a dangerous smile spreading across her lips. "And I chose to ensure our family's legacy. Naomi's invention is just the beginning." The warehouse trembled as the truth crashed around him. Betrayal had deep roots, tying them together in a way he could never have imagined. And the storm wasn't just raging outside. It was a tempest of betrayal, love, and shattered trust swirling in the air, threatening to consume them all. As fear coursed through him, Michael understood. Everything had changed. He wasn't just fighting for Naomi anymore. He was fighting for his very identity. "Who do you trust now?" he asked, his heart pounding against the truth. The question blanketed the room, heavy. But as the weight settled in, chaos erupted once more, drowning out any resolve and binding them all to a destiny that spiraled into darkness. The ground shook beneath them, a deep rumble, not from the storm, but from something building inside the warehouse. Michael's heart raced as he faced Ben, the weight of betrayal hanging heavy in the air. "Who do you trust now?" Ben taunted, but before anyone could respond, another figure stepped into the light behind him. A man, tall and imposing, with a familiar face that sent shivers down Michael's spine. It was Derek, the ruthless operative linked to Elon Musk, that slick, calculating devil whose name was whispered in corners of power. "What is he doing here?" Michael's voice broke, confusion mixing with fury. "Oh, don't act so surprised." Ben grinned, arms crossed. "Derek and I share a partnership, after all." "Partnership?" Naomi echoed, her voice trembling, fear pulsating between them. Derek stepped forward, eyes gleaming like a predator spotting its prey. "You both have something we want, the prototype and the girl's talents. Don't risk everything trying to protect each other." "What do you mean?" Naomi's voice shook like a leaf in the wind. Then everything shifted in an instant. A flash of light erupted from Derek's coat. A small device, glimmering with a sickly beauty, clicked ominously. The air around them thickened as he held it up like a trophy. "This is your wake-up call," Derek announced, a cruel smile cutting across his face. "In our world, family means nothing. Power means everything." Michael's heart plummeted at the realization of betrayal playing out like a twisted game. But before he could fully grasp what was happening, a deafening crack rang out. The lights flickered violently, and the ground shook. The walls of the warehouse splintered, sending dust cascading down like confetti from a sickening celebration. And then, the unmistakable sound of sirens piercing through the tension. They weren't just intruders, they were agents coming for blood. "Time's up," Ben sneered, stepping back, his facade of control crumbling. "Prepare yourselves." "Prepare for what?" Michael shouted over the blaring sirens, panic clawing at his throat. But in that moment, the lights died completely, sending them spiraling into pitch darkness. Then, a voice cut through the chaos. "Enough of this." It was Rebecca, Michael's mother, her silhouette barely visible in the dark. "Mom, what are you doing?" Michael shouted, confusion and anger mixing into a dangerous cocktail. "What do you think?" she said, her tone chilling, steadier than the storm. "I've come to resolve our little family affair." Suddenly, she pulled a small gun from her pocket, metal gleaming dangerously even in the dim light. Michael's breath caught. Shock rippled through him, freezing him in place. "Mom, don't!" he pleaded, grasping at the threads of disbelief. "You can't do this!" But her eyes were cold, reflecting a darkness he'd never seen. "You're the naive one, Michael. Being a good son doesn't guarantee you a place in the world. I've made my choices. And now, it's time for yours!" Naomi's voice trembled. "You can't mean to choose power over family." But in that moment, a loud bang echoed against the walls, a gunshot followed by silence. Michelle turned toward the sound. She saw a figure crumple. "No!" she screamed, her heart racing. The lights flickered back, illuminating the chaos. The fallen man. It was Jared. He lay on the ground, eyes wide in shock, the betrayal flashing across his face. "Why?" he whispered, blood pooling beneath him. "You should have stayed out of this," Rebecca said, her voice icy, devoid of emotion. Michael felt his world collapse. Everything he thought he understood, everything he fought for, was slipping through his fingers like sand. "Mom, no!" he cried, heart shattering, desperation fueling a raw anger. And just like that, the storm outside intensified, mirroring the turmoil inside. Relationships lay in ruins, and as fear consumed him, a new question emerged. What if the real battle for survival had only just begun? The echo of Jared's last breath hung heavy in the air. Michael felt the world slip beneath his feet, a gut-wrenching tide of loss and betrayal flooding in. The storm outside roared, drowning out thoughts of what might come next. "No!" Naomi screamed, rushing forward, but Michael grabbed her arm. "Don't! We have to go!" "But we can't just leave him." Her eyes were wild, tears mixing with the rain that streamed down their faces. "Jared is gone. We can't help him now." Michael's voice cracked with urgency, drawing her back. He locked eyes with her, searching for the spark of hope that was quickly dimming. "We have to find a way out, now!" Ben and Derek loomed closer, shadowy figures among the chaos. "You think you can escape?" Ben taunted, finger hovering over a button on the device. "This facility has been locked down." Así Fete ha decidido voltear rapidísimamente a su bocosa reunión. Alarmas volaron en torno de asunto. La luz opresiva bajaba su cotarrés. "Then here!" Derek shouted, his bravado flicareña. "Agentes entraron, blancos, ojos contentos, cólidos, espectacular. De reo, el contagio. Michael llevó a su cama." He could feel her shaking beside him, a mix of adrenaline and fear. "We can still get the prototype." "So get it," he shot back, desperation fueling him. "It's not worth our lives." But Naomi didn't waver. "We can't let them have it." Her voice rose, filled with the resolve of someone who'd fought through shadows once before. Michael glanced back at the prototype, the key to everything they'd been fighting for. "There's no time!" But they were out of options. The armed figures advanced, and a sudden rush of determination surged through Michael. "Stay close!" He led Naomi deeper into the warehouse, heart thumping. The sound of boots and shouts chased them, but he kept pushing forward, a flickering dim light guiding their way. Suddenly, they burst into a small storage room filled with old equipment and cobwebs. The door slammed behind them, and Michael hurried to find a way out. His mind raced with a plan. He just needed a moment. A loud thud echoed through the walls. "What are we going to do?" Naomi asked, eyes wide, breathless. "Maybe," Michael's mind churned, "we can create a distraction." He pointed to an old, rusty shelf filled with heavy tools. "If we cause a massive crash—" The door rattled, men's voices drawing closer. Left with no time, Michael sped into action. He knocked the shelf, sending it clattering to the ground, a deafening noise rippling through the air. "Now!" he yelled. They dashed back toward the entrance, scrambling past fallen debris. Just as they reached the doorway, Michael turned to see Ben burst in, eyes filled with rage. "You think you can escape?" But they were already moving, desperate and alive, barreling past the stunned agents. The storm's roar filled their ears, a cacophony that matched the fear pounding in Michael's chest. Freedom lay in sight. They dashed through the back exit, out into the churning night, rain pelting down, soaking them instantly. "Keep running!" Michael urged, gripping Naomi's hand tightly. They weave through the flooded streets, heart beating like a drum. Behind them, shouts echoed from the warehouse, confusion giving them precious seconds. But they knew it wouldn't last long. Their chance was fleeting. "Where do we go?" Naomi gasped, the words struggling past breaths. "Anywhere but here," Michael replied, feeling hope stir once more. Trust surged between them, stronger than any fear that had held them captive. Together, they dove into an alleyway, splashing through puddles, feeling the world shift beneath their feet. They were alive, but uncertainty lingered like the mist in the air. Would they make it out of this storm? As they paused, catching their breath beneath the flickering lights of the city, Michael turned to Naomi, eyes filled with questions. "What happens now?" Her expression was fiercely determined, yet softened by the shadows of pain. "We fight together." In the dark of the alley, with the rain pouring heavy, they knew they were not just running from their past. They were stepping into a future that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. But one thing hung in the air like a promise. This story was far from over. If you want to stay connected and witness where this journey goes next, subscribe immediately. Don't wait. You have to subscribe now, or you'll miss the upcoming exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to help with the algorithm. And flood the comments section. Share your reactions and theories. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even a second longer to share.